Welcome my dear listeners, stay with me to get the spoilers first and subscribe to the channel. Let's find out what's going to happen on The Young and the Restless. Matt stumbles into the desert. Nightmare not over yet. Monday's Young and the Restless began with one of those classic soap aftershock where the villain refuses to stay buried and everyone else scrambles through the wreckage. Matt Clark lived through the blow to the head and the concussion that came after Sienna Buckle's frantic chase, and now he is wandering the desert trying to decide what to do next. The latest spoiler report has him finally landing in a dinner, sitting down looking rough, and using a waitress to help him orient himself, holding up a hotel keycard and asking how far away the place is. This is the short up creepy reboot that tells you Matt's not finished. Not by a long shot. The blast may have blown him off course, but it didn't blow his vendetta out of him. Matt's memory may be hazy, but his hatred isn't, and that detail matters in a story already steeped in paranoia. The spoiler language hints that the head injury could lead to confusion but also implies that his beef with the Newmans is the one thing he cannot forget. That's what makes the dinner scene feel like more than just a recovery beat. It is the opening gambit of a man who has been hurt, humiliated and nearly killed and who now wants only to regroup and hit back. When the waitress asks if he's okay, he may look like a man who is barely keeping it together, but beneath the confusion is a survivor counting his return. And that's exactly why Sienna's situation is so precious. The spoiler report says she is convinced she killed Matt after the chase, which could mean she thinks the worst part is over. But Monday's preview shows the worst is definitely not over. The waitress will help Matt. He will find out where the hotel is and he will start to head into regrouping, not surrounding. Once this happens, Sienna is not just a scared participant but a target. She hasn't taken away the threat, she's made it matter. And now Matt has a clear lane back to Genoa City with revenge on his mind. This spoilered version of the episode finds Matt's body at the dinner, where it catches up to his brain. He is still terribly disoriented, still caught in the concussion fog, still trying to figure out how he survived in the desert. But his questions are practical, not sentimental. Where is the hotel situated? How far off it is? When can he get back into the room where he was staying? The keycard in his hand is the symbol of everything we have learned about Matt so far. He never stops plotting, he just changes terrain. The waitress sees a battered stranger who needs help. The audience sees a man preparing for his next move, and that's when the real tension returns to the people of Genoa City and the hotel suite. Noah Newman attempts to comfort Sienna following all the Matt mayhem, and the spoiler report says Sharon's questions rattle Sienna. That emotional duo is important because Noah is the only one trying to establish her while Sharon is trying to figure out what happened, and if Sienna is telling the truth, Sienna is tired and shaken. But she also knows that she now lives in a world where Matt can return at any time. So even if Noah comforts her, it won't erase the fear that she is the person that Matt will blame when he finds his way home. The spoiler coverage makes the story even more interesting because it says Sienna's near-fatal move has made her an even bigger target. That means she might be living with two kinds of terror at once, the guilt of thinking she killed Matt and the horror of realizing she only wounded him. That's a cruel soap twist because it forces her to live in that place between victim and aggressor. If she really thinks he's wiped him off the map, then every minute Matt's alive is another layer of panic. Every second is a countdown if she knows she only slowed him down. In either case, the storyline makes it clear that Matt is going to go after Sienna and all the Newmans when the time is right. Meanwhile, Michael Bloodwin is in a very different kind of war and it may be just as ugly in its own way. Monda's spoiler has him continuing to spar with Lauren Fenmore Bloodwin over his allegiance to Victor Newman and whether he's really ready to leave Phyllis Summers hanging when she needs help the most. That conflict is important because Michael is being pulled in two directions at once. One side is the Newman machine, still intent on going after Phyllis. The other is Lauren, who knows just how dangerous it can be to keep getting caught up in Victor's battles. Michael's divided loyalties become a crisis in themselves, for he cannot both serve Victor fully and protect Lauren and remain morally comfortable. That conflict also feeds into the bigger Phyllis story. Victor's attempt to go after her is already causing worrying news for Kane Ashby and Billy Abbott in upcoming episodes, and Monday's spoiler cycle says the Newman's strategy against Phyllis will soon spread. In a way, Michael is trying to be the voice of reason, but in another way, he is helping sustain a pressure campaign that could send Phyllis straight to prison. If they're still arguing about whether he is loyal, then this fight's going nowhere. This is getting more personal, more dangerous, and more likely to destroy whatever balance Michael still thinks he has going. That looming Phyllis fallout is important because it ties directly into the larger posture of revenge the Newmans are taking. Weeks of build-up have led up to Victor's attempt to take back the company and punish Phyllis, and the spoiler cycle says it is set to continue to make life harder for Kane and Billy as well. That is Matt's desert confusion and Victor's power play are not two separate stories at all. Both are examples of people trying to contain consequences after the damage is done. Matt wants to get back to the hotel and regroup. Victor gets to control Phyllis so he can force a result. Both men are seeking to regain lost leverage and both stories are headed for more blowback. This is why Monday's episode is so tense. No one gets a clean win. Matt doesn't die. He wakes up and goes to the dinner dazed. Sienna doesn't escape the trauma, she becomes more of target. Noah cannot just comfort her and move on because of the questions hanging in the air from Sharon. Lauren keeps pushing Michael, one Victor and Phyllis, and he cannot settle his conscience. And Phyllis herself is feeling the heat from a Newman campaign already sending ripples out to Kane and Billy. The entire hour is one long chain reaction, every character trying to catch their breath and failing. If Matt makes it back to hotel, as the spoiler report suggests, that changes the entire shape of the story. He's got a hotel key card in his hand and it tells him he knows where to go back to, and the Newmen aren't dealing with a threat that's gone missing. They have suffered a temporary setback. Once Matt is back together, the vendetta continues, and given that his head injury might have scrambled some of his memory but not erased his obsession, he might come back even more dangerous. Head injuries can cause confusion, but they don't erase intent, and this preview makes it sound like Matt's intent is still very intact. So whatever relief Sienna might feel will be short-lived. Noah might try to tell her that, but the second Matt gets his bearings, she is the woman who almost killed him. That puts her in the crosshairs whether she wants it or not. It also means that her relationship with Noah will be tested by a truth that neither can escape. The danger is still alive and it is coming back. Monday's spoilers have Sienna looking rattled, and that is the right emotional note because she has every reason to be. She is living inside the aftermath of the man who just won't stay down. The story closes the episode with a bleak but effective soap question. Did Sienna stop Matt? Or just create a wounded version of the same nightmare? The spoiler cycle is weighted heavily towards the second answer. Matt will get the waitress to help him figure out how to get back. then head to the hotel to regroup. Noah will comfort Sienna. Michael will continue his fight with Lauren, and in the background, Victor will increase stress on Phyllis. Kane and Billy are about to hear some alarming news too. That tells us that the Newman offense is already spiraling out the man circle. There is no content, it's all getting bigger. So the spoiler story Monday is really about the illusion of recovery. Matt looks defeated, but he wakes up. Sienna believes she stopped the threat, but she made herself the target. Noah tries to help her, but Sharon's questions keep the truth in the air. Michael wants to do what's right, but Lauren isn't sure he can keep pretending he serves two masters. Victor's attempt against Phyllis continues to spread, and Kane and Billy are about to be hit by the fallout. It all boils down to one simple soap truth. A concussion is not the end of the fight on The Young and the Restless. Usually, it's the part where the baddie pauses to breathe before returning for a swing. And this is the part that really sticks with me, because survival doesn't always mean victory. Sometimes it just means the nightmare gets a second chance. Because when Matt Clark gets back on his feet, even barely, it tells you something chilling. He is not done, he's just getting started again. And honestly, that's what makes this so unsettling. Not the violence, but the persistence, the way danger refuses to disappear when everyone needs to eat. I actually think the scariest part isn't what Matt remembers, it's what he doesn't forget. Because even with a broken mind, his purpose is still intact, and that kind of focus can be even more dangerous. Meanwhile, Sienna Buckle is living in that terrible space between relief and dread, and that kind of fear slowly eats away at you because you never know when it's going to come back. So let me ask you this. If you were in Sienna's place, would you run or would you stay and face whatever is coming? And do you think Matt is coming back for revenge, or is there something even darker driving him now? Because here's my take, and it's not comforting. This isn't a revenge story anymore. This is turning into an obsession, and obsession in soap stories never ends quietly. I wouldn't be surprised if the next time Matt shows up, it's not loud, not dramatic, just quietly closer than anyone expects. And that's when it hits the hardest. So keep watching the simple details, the quiet senses, the moments that feel too calm, because that's usually where the storm starts building again. And if you are paying attention, you might see it coming just a second before they do.